Bam Adebayo has been a cornerstone for the Miami Heat since his breakout season in 2020, even though he doesn't always get his flowers. But from a big man's perspective, Bam's defensive skill set, specifically, is one that almost every other frontcourt player in the league desires to have. When discussing the best defenders in the NBA writer Sam Vecenie ranked Bam at number 7 and labeled him as the most switchable big man in the NBA. If you've watched the Heat closely over the last few years, Vecenie couldn't have been more right with his assessment. I'd argue that Bam should be ranked slightly higher than just the 7th best defender in the league, but I suppose that's a different conversation for another day. But the fact is, Bam is truly invaluable to the Heat because of what he can do on the defensive end of the floor. Why Bam is so valuable to the Heat. As Vecenie outlines, Bam is not just arguably the most switchable big man in the league, but he should be in the conversation for the best overall defensive player, too. The versatility that he brings to the Heat on that end of the floor is so valuable to a team that has so little it can consistently rely on. If nothing else, Miami knows what it's going to get from Bam, especially on the defensive end of the floor. And that's what makes him so valuable to the Heat. Bam can switch on guards, shadow on the perimeter, and even protect the paint. He can effectively defend every position on the floor, and is a big reason why the Heat are able to scheme so many defensive looks every night. He's asked to make up for some of the inconsistencies from the Heat's guards on that end of the floor, and does so without missing a beat. Bam is everything a team should want in a foundational big man. Unfortunately, his versatility on the defensive end is not always reflected on the stat sheet, and it's one of the bigger reasons why he's one of the most undervalued players in the league. It may not be from anyone inside the Heat organization, but there's no question he's overlooked at times by many of the national media. And that's what Bam is able to do on the offensive end of the floor side. Bam is not just a defensive specialist for the Heat, and that's part of what makes him so great. In what has been labeled as a down year offensively for the Bam, he still managed to average 18 points and 4 assists per game on 49% shooting from the field and 36% from three-point range. That's better than most at the position and speaks to how much greatness is expected from Bam on both ends of the floor. Bam doesn't always get his due credit, but there's no question he has to be considered one of the best big men in the NBA. While it's easy to focus on what he's able to do defensively, let's not forget just how good a player he can also be offensively. Bam is everything you want in a big man. It's time the rest of the league realizes that. The start of training camp is less than a month away, but the Miami Heat still have some work to do before the end of the offseason. Over the next few weeks, the Heat's #1 priority should be to sign Nikola Jovic to a contract extension and, surprisingly, not Tyler Herro. Jovic has done enough this summer to prove he's worth the team-friendly extension that he'd likely be in line for before the start of the 2025-26 NBA season. Perhaps more importantly, Jovic could get an extension without completely handcuffing the Heat financially heading into the future. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about Herro, and that should make Jovic the clear one player Miami pushes hard to try and lock up before the end of the summer. Heat should prioritize re-signing Jovic over Herro. If the Heat believes the hype surrounding Jovic heading into this upcoming season, the decision should be simple. Herro is a much more complicated decision that comes with much more risk. If the Heat were to sign Jovic to an extension, he's probably looking at a $12 to $15 million per year deal. That could end up looking like a huge discount if he takes the fringe star leap that many are expecting him to take this upcoming season. Jovic stood out as one of the best players for Team Serbia in the Eurobasket tournament, and there are many who believe he's just now beginning to scratch the surface of his potential. On the other hand, Herro may have already hit his ceiling as an all-star offensive-minded guard, and it's difficult to envision him taking another leap in his development. Additionally, at $40 to $50 million per season, his extension would probably end any hope the Heat has of landing a superstar player within the next 2 seasons. Because of that, it's pretty clear that the Heat should prioritize Jovic over Herro at this point, but it may not be that simple after all. Is Jovic willing to bet on himself? Of course, there may be a problem. There's no guarantee that Jovic would want to sign a team-friendly deal after the summer he had. With the momentum he's built over the last month, with his impressive showing in the Eurobasket tournament, It may make more sense for Jovic to bet on himself this season in an attempt to continue to raise his price tag. If Jovic believes that he's going to have a huge season this year, there's no question he'll be in line to make much more money if he were to wait to test restricted free agency next summer. But that plan does come with some risk. If Jovic gets injured or doesn't have the season he believes he may be in line for, it could completely tank his value heading into free agency. And that's something Jovic and his camp would have to work through. Is Jovic and the Heat willing to play the long game with each other? Are they willing to take on the risk of playing this contract year out? We should get some clarity on this soon. However, one thing is for sure. If the Heat do end up extending one more player this offseason, it should be Jovic and not Herro. The Miami Heat are actively exploring trade options for veteran guard Terry Rozier as he enters the final year of his contract, Ethan J. Skolnick of 5 Reasons Sports Network reported in August. Rozier's expiring deal, valued between $24 million and $26 million depending on incentives, has yet to attract a trade partner. Bleacher Report's Andy Bailey has outlined a bold 3-team trade scenario that would allow Miami to flip Rozier while reshaping the roster for the 2025-26 season. Bailey's blockbuster 3-team trade. Bailey's proposed trade would involve the Heat, Los Angeles Lakers, and Utah Jazz. Miami Heat receive Austin Reaves and SVI Mikhailiuk. Los Angeles Lakers receive Lauri Markkanen. Utah Jazz receive Terry Rozier, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Knecht, a 2026 first-round pick from LA, a 2031 first-round pick from LA, and a 2031 first-round pick from Miami. The trade would give Miami a younger, more versatile backcourt capable of spacing the floor and creating offense. Reaves is a more natural facilitator than Tyler, Herro, Norman Powell, and maybe even Davion Mitchell, Bailey wrote. He might also be the best of that group at getting into the teeth of a defense and forcing it to collapse. That would give Herro and Powell more high-efficiency catch-and-shoot opportunities. Rozier's decline and opportunity for Miami. Rozier, 31, has played 10 NBA seasons with the Boston Celtics, Charlotte Hornets, and Heat. Last season, he started 23 of 64 games, averaging 10.6 points on 39.1% shooting, including 29.5% from three-point range, along with 3.7 rebounds and 2.6 assists in 25.9 minutes per game. This marked a sharp decline from his 2023-24 stint with Charlotte, when he averaged 23.2 points on 45.9% shooting with 6.6 assists across 30 games. By moving Rozier, Miami could exchange a declining veteran contract for a younger, more productive guard while adding depth and shooting to its backcourt. Upside and risk. Bailey cautioned that the trade carries some risk. Reaves is expected to decline his $14.9 million player option for the 2026-27 season. However, integrating him into Miami's system for 1 year could provide the Heat with a strong opportunity to re-sign him. Reaves has averaged 14.5 points on just 9.9 field goal attempts per game during his career, making him an analytically friendly scorer who could boost Miami's offensive efficiency. The Lakers' rising star is coming off a breakout year, posting career-best averages of 20.2 points on 46% overall shooting, 37.7% from three, with 4.8 assists against 2.2 turnovers per game. According to NBC Sports' Kurt Helin, Reaves is seeking a contract in the Tyler Herro range of $30 million a year, after declining the Lakers' 4-year, $89.2 million offer this offseason. Herro, the 13th overall pick in 2019, signed a 4-year, $130 million rookie-scale extension in 2022 and has emerged as the Heat's leading scorer and playmaker. NBA insider Jovan Buha recently predicted that Reaves could command a deal in the range of 4 years and $120 plus million. SVI Mikhailiuk adds additional depth and long-range shooting, helping strengthen a backcourt that struggled to generate consistent offense at times last season. Win-win deal for all teams. For the Lakers, acquiring Lauri Markkanen would provide a complementary forward alongside Luka Doncic. Markkanen, who signed a 5-year, $238 million extension last year, brings scoring, floor spacing, and versatility to pair with the team's stars. The Jazz, in turn, would receive multiple draft picks and young talent in exchange for Markkanen, potentially reshaping their roster and providing future flexibility. Despite the risks, Bailey concluded that the trade could elevate Miami's offense, strengthen the backcourt, and open the door to future cap flexibility. By flipping Rozier, the Heat could transform their roster while preparing for sustained competitiveness in the Eastern Conference.